Hey everybody, it's Tiffany, Coach Tiffany here. So Thursday, Facebook Live coaching. Always feel free to post a question in the comments, or I try to post on Wednesdays the, ask a question. And you feel free also to private message me if you don't feel that you want to post your question publicly, and I'll try to speak about it as well. One thing to be mindful of is I can't really talk about specific diagnoses, and I can't really give medical advice right on these things. And confidentiality is also an issue. So if you post in the group, everyone sees that. So if you're speaking about your private medical issues, that's something that you're just have an awareness that's I can't control. I do ask everyone to keep this a safe space, but I can't control if someone else goes out and speaks about that. So not confidential, right? So yeah, today feels like a really heavy day. There's a lot happening politically, and I do want this to be a really safe space. So I know that this may, what's happening politically right now may come up for a lot of you. A lot of women are really triggered right now. And it's interesting because the topic's going to be about sex and bodies. And so for a lot of us, we're feeling really triggered in terms of our safety around sexuality as women in the world. And so, I want to create a space where everyone is safe. One of the ways that we do that is by honoring each other's autonomy and not trying to fix or give unsolicited advice. People posting their experience in here isn't an invitation for other people to say shoulds, or even, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Have you tried, right? If someone posts something and you have an experience that you think might help, it can be really helpful and supportive to say, hey, are you open to hearing about my experience? But a lot of times it can feel very minimizing and frustrating to have someone, if you post about, for example, your struggles with body image, and then someone tells you to go on a diet or something like that, right? Or this is what I did to lose weight. So so let's avoid those things. So far, the group has been pretty good about it, but it's really natural to be excited about something that worked for you and want to tell the world about it, right? Or want to fix when someone else is struggling. But that doesn't honor them and their autonomy. And we from a Facebook post, we can't know how much someone has struggled with a particular issue. And so if someone, I remember once a person selling essential oils didn't, I mentioned to her that I have a back injury, and she proceeded to say that this essential oil could basically take care of my back pain. And I'm an RN. I worked on a neurosurgery floor at the time, and I've tried many things, and so it felt really just not, it didn't feel good to me at all to have her say that. Putting some essential oils on my back would take away my pain when I had extreme pain issues. And I actually have 3 herniated discs in my back. So I know the science. Essential oils can be great for a bunch of things. I have them. I like them. I'm not against them in any way, but, it can be minimizing when you say something like, oh yeah, try that, you should try this, when someone, has already really tried everything that they can think of and they're on their own journey. So all right, with that disclaimer, I'm going to try really hard to go really deep here. And the question that was posed was about, feeling embarrassed or not feeling, not being able to be present sexually and, enjoy sex when we feel fat, or we feel like our body isn't, our body isn't what we want it to be, right? Or what we feel like it should be. There's so many layers to this. And, I'm not a sex therapist, and, I just am going to be speaking about my own experience, and really trying to honor that there are many layers to this. So right now, especially, a lot of women have trauma in their past, sexual trauma. And the, Me Too is kind of the movement that is bringing that awareness, bringing more awareness to that issue. But right now, with what's happening, there's someone who has potentially been a victim of sexual assault who's been very publicly kind of ridiculed for that and not listened to. And so I think a lot of us are feeling very triggered and very distraught about what's happening in the world. And the fact that as victims, many of us ourselves, of some sort of sexual assault or harassment, or a general feeling of not being safe in the world because of our gender, it can really shut things down in terms of our sexuality. So that this may be heightened, right, for all of us right now, like not feeling safe. But I want to talk about safety underlying this ability to be present. So in my experience, when I'm not able to be present and fully enjoy sex with my husband, or in other relationships where I wanted to enjoy sex, a lot of times it was related to body image. And there is the idea in our society that if you're not thin, that you're not worthy, or that people won't be attracted to you, or that you're not someone who deserves sex, right? Only people who are very attractive. And then there's these other layers of not being able to, that we shouldn't enjoy sex if we're a good girl, right? So there's all of these cultural expectations, and this is really similar with food. Like, we shouldn't have pleasure in sex, that it's not meant to be pleasurable, right? Or that somehow we don't deserve to, that our pleasure within sex is not a priority, especially if we aren't the ideal body, right? What our culture says is the ideal body. So, and there's layers to that too. Like, say we ate, a lot of times anniversary dinner will go to like the melting pot, right? And then we're like stuffed and bloated and feel gross and feel like, oh, I just have no willpower and I'm, disgusting, right? And so this is kind of some of the mental things I think that happen for people. So physically we don't feel well, and then we also feel shame about our body or about the way we eat, and that we're not good enough, and then we feel that we don't deserve the pleasure, even more so than what we're told culturally, right? So gosh, that's a lot to contend with. That is a lot to deal with, all of the layers of why we shouldn't enjoy sex. But there are some movements out there. There's Health at Any Size, and there's, movements about deserving love and sex and pleasure. So one of the things I want to suggest is watching a movie called Embrace. Gosh, it's a really beautiful movie. If you don't know the story, it's this woman who lives in Australia. She had children, she gained some weight and wanted to do something about it. And so she became a bodybuilder and decided to just get as fit as possible, and literally like entered bodybuilding competitions and looked amazing, right, by the standards. Very muscular, very thin, very trim, toned, and was up there on stage, and all the other women were like picking at their bodies, even people who looked better than her, even people that she couldn't imagine how they would improve on their body. They were all feeling like they still weren't good enough. And they put all of this time and all of this effort and all of this energy into it, and they didn't feel good enough. So she was like, gosh, it's not worth it, right? Like, if I put all of this into it and I take time away from my family and I manipulate my body and I manipulate my food and I still don't feel like I'm good enough, and these other women aren't feeling like they're good enough, there's nothing I'm going to be able to do to be to that point except for just love myself. So she allowed herself to just go back to being, kind of flexible with her eating and just kind of trying to love her body as it is. And she posted a picture of herself after putting some weight back on and kind of losing that muscle tone and just having like the typical kind of mom, belly and these things. And that was the after. So the before was her as a bodybuilder, and the after was her as a normal, like, average person, right? And the idea was like, I love myself more now, right? Like, I'm being more loving to myself now than I was then. And people, gave her a lot of flack. Like, a lot of people were like, that's terrible. Why would you let yourself go? And other people were like, right on, like, thank you so much I see that I'm a little glitchy. Hopefully you guys are getting this. So, and hello to anyone who's on. Please post in the comments that you're here. Let me know, what's resonating with you, maybe your own experience. Anyway, so she, this video is a documentary of her and her journey and other positive body image icons and other people who are doing this kind of work in the world. And there's a woman who does photography of couples who are, larger bodies, and talking about their deserve around love and sex and pleasure, right? So I think there's many layers to this. There's a feeling that we're not safe. And, if you've got those issues, definitely I would suggest seeking out trauma counseling, because it's hard to be present when we have unresolved trauma in our bodies. There's also people who do pelvic floor therapy. Jen Owens is a Portland nurse practitioner who does pelvic floor therapy, and she incorporates into that like the emotional healing work of trauma. That's something I would highly recommend checking into if you have either one of those things, whichever resonates with you. If you do have some, especially like sexual or physical abuse trauma, or even just emotional, not just, but different kinds of trauma, they manifest in the body, right? Which makes it really hard to be present for sex. Then the next piece, I would really encourage anyone who's struggling to really be fully present and enjoy sex because of their body image. I would encourage you out there, and something I've had to work on to seek out positive body image influences, right? So I believe I posted earlier on in the group, and I will make a note to myself to post about the positive body image people to follow, right? Like some resources out there. And then I would